Hello everybody and welcome back to the labs. I am Towsty and thank you for joining me here on another episode of Infinity Labs Season 2, hanging out on our Resonant Rise-ish server, having some fun, getting some AE stuffs up and running. So, I filled up this, but much to my... I don't know. It's against my nature to do things manually. I hate doing things manually. I finished off making the drives for this that I could, the 4K drives anyways, just with the little system I had set up over here. And then I went to automate that system using mechanisms, logistical sorter, and logistical pipes. But the logistical pipes overfeed the inscribers. Remember how I said you could put only one item in the input slot? The logistical sorter is like forced to stack them in, and when they come in, you actually see the visual render of the color-coded square around the item that you get in the logistical sorters, and then it turns into the normal item. But that, I think, is somewhat glitchy in the inscriber, so it didn't work. So I set up a new system, and I contemplated doing some of this on screen. Oh, I've got to fix... Still got some restructuring I got to do here. Yeah, I contemplated doing some of it on screen, but ended up just doing it all off camera because it made a bit more sense. So here we are. I had to get into Ender.io a little bit here, guys. These are the highest tier conduits from Ender.io. They're pretty easy. Vibrant alloy, conduit binders. Vibrant alloy is simply, I can get the actual alloy recipe, ender pearl and energetic, which is gold, redstone, and glowstone in an alloy smelter. I had some of that cooked up from earlier from doing my wireless charger thing. And so I decided to do this. The reason being, I have enough ultimate cable to actually get to this point. Right? That's not an issue. And to get up over here at all. But Steve's Factory Manager likes to crash when trying to render this. And I don't know if it's the green part inside, if it's the actual cable, but whenever there is an ultimate, at least I know only of the ultimate at the moment, I'm assuming they all do it. Whenever there are these cables, it crashes when you open up Steve's Factory Manager and go to actually look at something that is connected to one of the ultimate cables. So I'm going to use the Ender.io conduits for this one. Now, this is kind of, this may seem a little daunting, but it's really quite simple. I actually used a guide as like a template. I saw a picture of somebody else's setup and was able just to look at that and kind of go from there. It's something that I could do on my own, but would not be anywhere near as organized as this or as effective, I guess. So the first thing that I did to set this up, I'm just going to explain this real quick. To set this up is I made 5 variables: silicon, gold, diamond, quartz, and final. That represents each of the inscribers. So we got gold, diamond, quartz. Back here is silicon, and then final. And I'll show you a little trick. That's going to pump out there. Let's get some gold. I think I still have that block of quartz, yeah. So when I'm working with Steve's Factory Manager, I'd like to be able to tell where the actual inventories I'm working with are without having to leave the system. There we go. Okay. So if you look over here, we're going to pull this over right quick. This is actually a bad example because there's nothing beside it. These are variable containers. So if you click, you add a new create container variable, right? And you got all this stuff here. I'll show you how this works. So we'll take our gold, for example. Gold, open it up, variable. I got it set to purple. I have it set to global. Don't actually think the global is necessary, to be honest. Container type doesn't really matter to me, but you can specify what kind of containers you're going to look at if you have a lot connected to your system. All right, so you look at your containers. These are all of the things that have inventory slots. In Minecraft code, they're actually called containers, so that's probably why he's going with that. But these are all of the things that hold items. So this inscriber here is selected as our gold inscriber. And a way that you can tell is if you're shifting over this, you can see what blocks are actually beside these containers, right? So you see adjacent blocks. It doesn't look like there's any. That's just a visual bug. If I'm holding shift and I click, it keeps this here. I have to keep holding shift down. I can see that there's a conduit connector above it, an inventory cable below it, and a block of gold to the east. And then this stuff doesn't really matter to me. There's a block of gold here, so I would say, okay, this one is my gold because I've got it labeled. And that's how I tell where they are without leaving this whole interface. And so I've got this set up to say what each inscriber is kind of going to do in the long run. So then what happens is we have a trigger. There's nothing done to this trigger. In Steve's Factory Manager, you want stuff to run, you have to create a trigger. The default trigger is every millisecond, or every second, sorry. So every second, whatever you have set up in Steve's Factory Manager is going to run based on that trigger. You just start it with a trigger. It's just a little timer. Right? Pretty simple. Then we have a condition that I'm contemplating removing. It's not really necessary. In fact, it's quite a hindrance at the moment. What the condition is saying is basically is an if statement. And it's saying if any silicon, gold, diamond, or quartz is present in this diamond chest, then when that's true, go to this flow. When it's false, don't worry about it. Right now, anyways, I don't have a false condition set up. And the flow is pretty much just a split that's saying use fair split and split with 5 outputs. And we're only using 4. And so the flow is just going to let it run all of these kind of in some sort of decently favored progression. So it looks for silicon in the diamond chest. Right, target up, doesn't really matter. Whitelist silicon. And it outputs it to none of the inventories, but to our variable of silicon inscriber. So I don't have to worry about finding that inscriber every time. I just know I have it set to the silicon inscriber, which is, you know, connected to the container that I knew was my silicon inscriber by the block that I had beside it. Now, it's actually set to north. I don't need these ups on here. And then blacklist, don't worry about it because its only option is to get what I've whitelisted here, right? And it goes through and does that for all of them. Grab silicon, grab gold, grab peer, grab input, right? Take out, input, output. So this is basically saying, excuse me, whoopsies. If you look at the variables, it's saying from the silicon, the gold, the diamond, and the quartz, not the final one, just grab everything you can and dump it into this chest, is what it's saying. Pretty simple. And then we come into the final step, which is kind of like a sub-program. Right? And then what we're saying is just grab redstone, printed silicon, and printed circuits from this chest. This is all of the circuits. Right? Gonna grab all of those from the chest and output them into the final, the target, right? Into the final inscriber, putting redstone in the top, in the north, sorry, which is gonna put it in the middle, printed silicon on the top, and the printed circuit on the bottom. That's pretty simple. And then finally, we have our little completed circuits over here. This just grabs everything from the last slot of our final inscriber and dumps it into the ender chest, which will eventually be hooked up to go directly into our applied energistics system. In fact, why don't we do that right now? Sorry about that little cough. Okay, so you remember we had our import bus from last time, right? That's set right here with a bunch of acceleration upgrades. I don't need that chest there anymore. So why don't we just do this? Plop. Now all of those circuits, our processors, yeah, will be in the system, ready for me to use to create more storage. All right, so that's pretty awesome. So now we have a basic applied energistics system. I'll figure that part out in a minute. And then here I was just making up some more of the fanciful alloys to make some more ultimate cables and ultimate transporters and stuff like that. All right, so now that we have a system that's going to completely automate our inscribers, I need to get a couple things going. A, these all need 3 acceleration upgrades, so they're quick. B, I need automated silicon. So, we have our transfer nodes here, right? I need some cobble. Yeah. I need a world interaction upgrade, which I happen to have 2 of right here. Awesome. Then we're going to get a, well, if I use mechanism, it'll turn it to gravel. All right, so we're going to use our sag mill. So let's make a new sag mill. Let's see what we got to work with. We just need to worry about this. Awesome. This is what makes applied energistics lovely. Now, the other thing that I'm going to need is a couple buckets. I don't really think I have more than 1 on me. That's all right, though. I can do 1 at a time. Lava. I'll need a piece of cobble. And then I'll also need another sag mill. No, I already got one of those. Let's do this. Okay, there's my second sag mill. And then I'll need a filter, which I'll figure out how I want to filter it in a minute. Now this is going to be pretty simple. I need to make sure... Yeah, down here is a bit of a mess. Alright, why don't we just put it here? We're going to put under the ground right here. First thing we need is a piece of cobblestone, right? And then we'll put our lava. I come out here and get a bucket of water. I need an infinite source a little bit closer than this. I don't want eelgrass. Interesting. All right. Transfer node with the world interaction upgrade will get us some cobblestone. Right? This is going to go like this. We will take the... I guess we could use this. Why not? Yeah, why not? I mean, we've got it in our inventory, so we'll just delete all these filters. And we'll say new filter. Sand will be blue. And new filter gravel, yep, will be green. Then we'll take some of our fancy transporter. And we'll say... This got a little bit bigger than I intended. Oh well. I need a trash can, actually. I used to have one. I don't remember if I brought it or not. Probably not. All of a sudden, I am choking up a storm. Okay, so the sand will go here. Right? The, Let me think about this for a second. Let's do... yeah, this, I guess. We'll say green can come here and be a trash can. Why not? That'll work. That's what I had in my inventory at the time. And you know, we're not too far from our ender chest. Boom. Let's go ahead and do I have any on me? Are these just regular? No, these are transport ones. Really do need to get all of these out of here. Huh. Oh, missed. Are there any regular hollow technical blocks in there? I think I did see them. Yes. And we'll just come down here. Give you a little bit of love. And then we'll take our... We're going to need to use an ultimate one. Oh well. Might as well put that at the beginning. I don't know if that'll affect the rest of it. Yes. Okay. And we will say pull. Pull. And boom. So now all the silicon that we get will actually go automatically into the system. So this is a very, very, very basic automated silicon process. Okay? So that's cool. At some point, I will be automating the creation of clay itself, so as not to worry about... Well, actually, it kind of depends on how long this builds up for. We've already got about a stack, which I will take up top. You cannot use the Galacticraft silicon. Somebody usually suggests that, but it's not an option. It's not ore dictionary the same way, and I'm guessing they've done that on purpose. But item silicon, Galacticraft core, no ore dictionary on it, so it doesn't really work. So this should actually be pumping out some new golden ones. We're gonna get through the rest of those. And it's pretty important at this point for me to make some more drives because you can see that we're filling up. So red is full of both types, or no, of space, all right? Yeah, full of space. And then orange is full of types. So red, we're completely out of, there's two different capacities these things have, right? There's a physical memory that they can store the amount of items of, and then there is a amount of different kinds of items they can store. And if they fill up on either, nothing else can go in. So when you get to this point where there's a lot of orange, it'll be really hard to use your crafting system because you can't pick stuff up and put it back in. And that gets a little hairy, and when you hit the X, you can't always put it back in if you have a constant inflow of items either. So it's at this point that we're really going to want to make a couple extra drives. And if we remember from before, the enemy drives are not that expensive to make themselves. And with a good steady supply of processors, they will not be that bad for us. Now, I'm going to check something here. We're going to go ahead and make the storage clusters real quick. I'm going to make a basic one. I mean, like, by that, I mean 1 4K. Storage. Where's my 4K at? This is really just to see if it's powered. Okay, so one thing about applied energistics is most blocks transfer their networks through themselves. And I was just checking to see if this did as well, because it's a little finicky, this one, as to where it gets power from and stuff like that. So it does. All right, so I'm going to do some work to expand a little bit here, I think, and we'll be right back. All right, folks, so we're back for a minute here. I wanted to show you my setup. I needed a bunch of obsidian, and I decided to start working towards a deep dark portal as well. And so I wanted to turn my auto crafter here into a crafter for, I can clear that one, compressed cobble. And usually I do this with extra utilities and their transfer nodes because it's a much faster way of getting cobble. But I decided to push myself, and I pushed myself to get a igneous extruder, which you can now actually igneous get the upgraded versions of. Like, you don't have to just make it with the basic, you can make the resonant version of it. So I did that, and I added the 3 upgrades for it, the 3 augments that increase its output. And so each little creates a stack. And I did that for obsidian, got that much obsidian in about a minute. So that was pretty quick. And then I just decided to pump it in here once I needed the obsidian, because I was mass producing a whole bunch of these guys. Like so. Right, so when you do that, or I was doing it for logistical transporters, which I wanted to make a bunch of logistical transporters to handle my pipes. For this, I moved our digital miner to the mining dimension and put up a second ender chest that's going to grab all the stuff. It's going to go through the system, and the stuff that doesn't need to go through the system will go into this ender chest, and then this stuff will also be output into that. And it'll go into the A system. So what I decided to do instead is, because I've been focusing on like forestry and bees and mechanism and logistics pipes and stuff like that, and I decided I was gonna push to AE as I have been. And I thought, instead of, you know, just tearing it all down and going with like extra utilities or thermal expansion or something that I know and that I use a lot, I thought I'd go with blue power. And so we're in the middle of making a couple things from blue power. I want to try the sorting machine and just see if it's anything like the old red power sorting machine. That is not the sorting machine at all. So blue alloy ingot I'm still going to need, some Tesla type, and some silver or some nickelite for those of you who've been around for a while. Cook that up in there, and then we'll go sorting machine. Boom, bam, filter, awesome. And all we'll need is this. One of my favorite things about having AE as my crafting grid, besides just having the access to everything, is if I don't have all the pieces, it still puts it in the crafting window. That's really handy. Achievement.sort. Okay. This would probably require a screwdriver and or, yes, this is exactly the same. This is fantastic. Oh, I'm so excited. This may look a little crazy right now, but it's not that bad. Let's just grab a solar panel. Actually, let's see if that's even an option. Circuit database, sorting machine, block breaker, regulator, retriever, item detector, igniter, manager. You guys seen these solar-y type thingies or any power producing stuffs? I need some tubes. Oh, pneumatic tubes I'm gonna need as well. Which are brass, so that's not bad at all. So do I just power it with RF? Oh, that would be wonderful. Okay, all right, so let's make a bunch of these. I know I have brass. Well, I have zinc. I just want to make brass from blue power then. Copper and zinc. Kappa. Zinc. Okay. Pneumatic tubes will be okay, and then I'll probably need some. Not all. What? No. Ultimate. And we're gonna have to sneak down here like this. Somewhere around here there is some cable. Man, I'm getting some mad lag today. Huh. What? So what am I missing? There's got to be some sort of power generation machine in here. To get ready. I guess I'm gonna have to figure out where it draws its power from. And what's causing my redonkulous lag. Alright, well, let me go figure out where it's getting power from and we'll be back. Hey everybody, we're back. I just wanted to show you that I'm changing up a few things here while I try and figure out where some of this lag is coming from. There's a good chance that a lot of this kind of stuff comes from just rendering items and things like that. So as they travel through pipes and things. So in order to minimize some of that, I don't know what's going on with my cable here. I've turned off the fancy render of the mechanism pipes, and I just realized that by looking that far to the right, I'm no longer talking into the microphone at all. So I turned off the fancy render of these, which you can do in the config, which I'm going to see if that helps. So you guys are going to be part of my debugging process, and then I changed this up because I'm A, tired of the noise, and B, what the hey, how did that happen? There we go. Huh. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm a little distracted as to what I was doing. So I'm a little tired of the noise and just wanted to make sure that things weren't causing unnecessary amounts of lag. And I'm just wondering a couple things here. Like, why aren't these connected anymore? Stupid. I bet nothing's processing. Oh, there's actually not that much in there, so we would have gotten... Never mind, not very far through it at all. So, I've changed up. I have decided to go with a different system, not Blue Power, because it's not done. Also not anything we've done on the series recently. Don't knock down my torches. Okay. And so we're going to do this in the form of tubes. Tubes are pretty cool. They've been out for quite a while, actually. Possibly early 1.6. And they're kind of like a neat, just sort of very basic knockoff replacement for item tube system from Red Power, Blue Power, stuff like that. So, or at least they're inspired by it, I think. So what we got here is simply an extractor tube with a filter tube set to filter the ores, and then come down here we have another filter tube, same filter except denying the ores. Really simple, and this is working well for me. And anything we put in this chest will in fact go through and be fine. And they're all multi-parts. They're covered. You can make these like caps that stop it from connecting using a tube system, or you can use a multi-part to do that. And these are just a tube with a saw, so it's pretty simple. And there's a bit more to it. There's a fluid one that I'll show you probably next episode, and a couple other things. But seeing as we are why aren't you filling with water? seeing as we're in need of doing a bit of debugging here, I think we're going to call that an episode. And save that spoiler over there for next time that I just started. So, hope you guys enjoyed hanging out together. Until next time, I have been Towsty. Hang up your like buttons on the way out, and we'll see you later. Deuces!